Welcome back, everybody. Today we're talking about Kadena. There are a ton of updates around the ecosystem, around the mining ecosystem, as well as there's a ton of opportunity now after the Ethereum merge. So Kadena could see some quality growth here coming both to the DeFi side and then also the miner base as well. So we're going to cover that and then get into some chart and price analysis. So let's hop right in. So first of all, I just want to note how impressive the growth of the Kadena ecosystem has been, just over the last 6 months. If you were to look back a little bit less than a year ago, it would be less than half of these companies that are on this list right now. And if we look at how many infrastructure partners they have, DeFi and NFT partners, it's really exploded with, Kaddex and KD Swap and KDL really being kind of the forefront of that. And then also, on the exchange side, Binance and KuCoin, Gate.io really holding up a lot of that volume. And if we check over here on who is holding the most volume across those exchanges for Kadena, we're seeing the most volume done on Binance and KuCoin at the moment, with Gate.io a close third. But that's kind of where most of the transactions are occurring for Kadena at the moment. And we're going to continue to see that expand, especially as Kaddex continues to grow, that being a DEX, not necessarily a centralized exchange, but and also as other exchanges start to pick up Kadena as well. Now, if we also go into some of the August milestones in terms of the ecosystem, we saw Kaddex V1 officially launch in August 1st. We're going to cover just how successful that's been just inside of a month. We're going to actually look at some charts to show the growth of that ecosystem. And obviously the DeFi ecosystem hit a all-time high of 39 million total value locked. Super, super impressive. And if we take a look at that and dive into the numbers here, we're going to see it basically jumped and did almost a 10x from about 4.5, actually 3.3 at its lowest, 3.1 at its lowest, all the way up to 39 million total value locked. A lot of that coming from the Kaddex Dex as well as KD Swap of recent. But what's really, really unique, in my opinion, is that we're seeing this growth in contrast to what we've seen with other projects similar to Cardano here. You're almost seeing a decline, even, a flattening of the growth of these DeFi ecosystems as the crypto market starts to slow down. Same with Solana, right? We've seen somewhat of a steep decline from their all-time high of 10 billion. We're now looking at 1 billion. It's a tenth of where it was at just late last year. So really, really interesting to see how Kadena has stood up against some of these larger projects. Obviously, this is, small percentages compared to what these other projects are doing. But in terms of the growth of the DeFi ecosystem, we're seeing a lot of attention, a lot of confidence towards Kadena and what's going on there. So we love to see that. Going back to this, obviously, we also saw Kadena KDA tokens getting listed on CoinGecko as well as CoinMarketCap. And then also Lago Finance launched a wrapped BTC bridge from ETH to Kadena, which is huge in the ability for additional funds to be easily brought into the Kadena ecosystem. That was one of the biggest complaints of the last 6 months or so, is that it's kind of hard to get different currencies and other, money over to Kadena to then operate within that ecosystem. But it becomes easier and easier, especially with some of the gasless DEX transactions that they're working on as well. So really, really exciting to see those developments there. Now, another thing that has been super, super exciting is Kaddex has just been doubling down on success it's already experienced. Now we're seeing them release X Wallet. So this is for mobile integration. So this is basically allowing anyone to do gasless swaps and, holding and managing their actual accounts in Kadena off of this X wallet. So this is really, really unique in terms of the accessibility, the usability of Kadena and Kaddex, and just opens up a lot more opportunity in terms of the ways that people can get involved in the ecosystem. So we just see Kaddex keep doubling down on their success. And they were part of that, if you guys remember back in April of this year, Kadena launched that $100 million grant, and Kaddex was one of those projects. And now we can see the success of that investment coming to fruition here. One of the last things I wanted to mention is how a lot of miners are now looking to Kadena after obviously the Ethereum merge, where mining is going to be basically put on the back burner, unless obviously miners do a hard fork of Ethereum, which I don't know how successful that will be. But what's unique about Kadena is that we're going to see 70% of the allocation going to miners, and the mining time frame is 120 years. And having that 70% allocation over 120 years, that's really, really attractive to miners because the barrier to entry for mining is quite high. You know, you might spend $7,000 to even $30,000 on mining rigs. And so to have this longevity and dedication to the mining community from Kadena is just showing their dedication to attract those miners. And that's big coming from the Ethereum merge, where a lot of those miners are essentially going to be put out of work, right? For all intents and purposes. But a couple other things I want to highlight here. Obviously, we have a lot of projects, which some of which we discussed in this video. But also what I wanted to highlight is that a lot of you guys know this following Kadena, but it is the fastest proof of work project ever put out. So 480,000 transactions per second, as opposed to the next, proof of work project, which was just as of 3 days ago, ETH at 25 transactions per second. So really, really impressive in terms of what they're building and their dedication to miners. And I think we may see some miner migration over to Kadena if this continues to be the case and it continues to be fruitful for miners. The other thing that this stacks up well against is the timing is great. So we have a lot of different mining companies coming out with different options. This is the KA3, just an example of very, very high hash rate performance mining rigs that are coming out to support KDA miners, because a lot of these companies are noticing that how mining friendly Kadena is and that miners will likely be migrating. So now they're doubling down and putting resources into developing KDA rigs that are high performing, very advanced, and offer high profitability for potential Kadena miners. So really, really good to see that. This tells me that there is demand in the market for KDA mining and that more KDA miners will be coming over from Ethereum and other layer ones. Now, to finish off, I just want to talk briefly about the chart. And in all honesty, where we're at right now with crypto, specifically with crypto altcoins, it's really, really hard to do any sort of technical analysis. I know we try to do as much as we can on this channel, but right now it's really, really difficult because of how tough the macro conditions are. So much just, uncertainty, unexpected events occurring. But what I will point out is that we are consolidating better than a lot of altcoins. And this is really, really good to see in a bear market, where obviously in a bull market, a lot of times you see kind of consolidation rip to the upside and all-time high, boom, right? And in bear markets, it's not going to be that easy, right? Really what we're trying to do is stay healthy long enough to stick around to the next bull. And so far, Kadena has been doing that quite solidly. Obviously, we saw us get rejected here at this kind of 2.4 level quite recently, and then came back down to kind of test this 1.415 area. I would say if we were to go lower, let's say, stocks, Bitcoin, everything starts kind of going lower, I would say, what you're watching for on Kadena is a 1.312 area. So at the bottom of this fib, we're going to see a, $1.30 mark here. And then obviously if we go below that, we'd probably be looking at about 70 cents. So 70 cents and $1.30 are kind of the next two backstops that I'm seeing in terms of the chart. Again, technical analysis really, really difficult in the environment that we're in, especially with such a volatile altcoin. But in terms of what we're trying to do to the upside, there are a couple other key levels. So first of all, we got to get past $2.40, and then the next would be about $3.40. But I honestly, I think this is where people kind of get a little bit lost in all this analysis and looking at prices, looking at charts. If we really want to zoom out and say, when will Kadena start going, super parabolic, looking super bullish again, it's really not until we hit this, $7.60 mark, right? If we can break this first real key Fibonacci level, we are looking super, super solid. Now that's obviously a 7x from here. That's quite long. It's probably quite a far ways away at this point. But at the same time, that's kind of where we need to be setting our expectations for when a full reversal is going to come into place. Now, whether that takes a year, 2 years, 6 months, it's really, really hard to say. But at the same time, I would be very, very careful in terms of when you're expecting that full reversal, right? Because we could even play up here back to $2.40 and be up 58% in a week, 58% in a month, and from a short-term point of view, we could be saying, okay, we're back, we're ready to go, let's double down, we're going parabolic again. And I think that we need to be very, very careful of that thinking in this type of market. So just again to review, our backstops to the downside, $1.30, 77 cents roughly. And then to the upside, we're looking at $2.40, $2.50, and then at $3.40, $3.50. And that's kind of where our next stops of the upside will be. But that is pretty much everything I have to cover today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of Kadena in the comments. It's really flying under the radar, and I think it's a really promising project. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.